Hey there, Rockstar, and welcome back to my channel. Today we're talking summer 2021 travel insights, tips, and tricks to get you through and keep you informed. This includes some super important mental health tips for dealing with this first summer going back to normal, so make sure to stay till the end. Before we get started, I just want to remind you to like and subscribe. This helps tremendously in helping others to get informed, and it helps my channel to continue putting out awesome travel guides for you. My goal is to reach 1,000 rock stars by the end of the summer, and I would love for you to come on this journey with me, so make sure to subscribe. Now let's jump on into the 8 things you must know for summer travel in 2021. Number 1, travel boom. I think it goes without saying that everyone is sick of being stuck at home. And with new advancements and protocols, many states, businesses, and other establishments have been able to open back up. Because of this, millions will be traveling this summer, and that is a huge game changer. So don't expect to see the prices and pictures you've seen online thus far. Number 2, price hikes. Now that everything is opening back up and this whole travel boom is happening, people are capitalizing on it. Price hikes are running rampant. There are no more deals happening that are trying to encourage people to travel. Flights are at full price, if not higher. Hotel rooms are booking out, especially those on major holiday weekends. And if you're planning a road trip, gas prices are shooting through the roof. Make sure if you're planning to travel this summer and you've not made any reservations yet to make them ASAP, or you might not be able to get any. Number 3, beware. It's busy everywhere, especially small town destinations. I've been noticing that smaller destinations are the places that are the most populated. So beware. If you are trying to avoid COVID, then that cute small town destination might not be the safest choice. I can say firsthand after visiting Lake Placid and many small lake towns up and around upstate New York, as well as several small New England ones, that people are truly flocking to these smaller destinations. Last week, I walked into a small lake town gift shop and it was packed. Mind you, this town has about 350 residents. A lot of people are having the same idea of trying to stay safe when getting away. Many are going to small town destinations, lake towns, even RVing and camping. Be careful and remember, just because you're in a small town doesn't mean you can't get sick, so make sure you're staying safe regardless. Number 4, RVs are still a hot commodity. If you are thinking about renting or even buying an RV, you may have a really hard time. RVs have continued to be a hot commodity as of last summer. A ton of RV campsites are booked solid this summer. Make sure you are planning early on RVing and campsites. Number 5, major cities are no exception. You're probably thinking, well, Natty, small towns are packed, RV campgrounds are packed. Well then, I'm gonna go to a major city. Wrong. Plenty of major cities are packing the tourists in too, and one major example is Las Vegas. A ton of people are swarming Vegas. The only way it could get any crazier over there is if conventions started happening again, and with the way that Vegas is running things, I wouldn't be surprised if that started happening sooner than later. You have to remember, everyone is dying to get out of their homes and hometowns to travel and stretch their legs. And everyone who depends on tourism is desperate to bring in the tourists and start getting back to work. Number 6, masks optional. Before I even get into this topic, I want to say that I am not in any way, shape, or form trying to get political. I honestly don't necessarily want to touch this subject at all, but I think it's really important for you and others to be aware of the situation. Many states have now been declared fully open. Travel is completely allowed, and there are no mask mandates in those states anymore. The mask issue gets a bit tricky though. Even if a state has removed its mask mandate, that does not mean that an establishment is not able to require you to wear a mask. It is up to the businesses themselves whether or not they want to allow people who don't wear masks in. This being said, my advice is to put on your mask right before entering an establishment. And if you are someone who has gotten the vaccine that doesn't want to wear a mask, ask someone who works there, can I take off my mask please? If they tell you yes, then that's great. Some people will tell you no, and that's okay too. I want to make a point that some people are getting really nasty about the mask situation on either side. I totally understand where people are coming from on both sides. I understand that people are tired of being told what to do and just want things to go back to normal. But please, if an establishment tells you to keep your mask on, just keep it on. Or if you don't want to, just go to a different place that will allow you to be without one. Just don't give them a hard time. Most of the time, that's just some poor employee who's having to follow company policy and doesn't want any trouble. People in the service industry have a hard enough job already. Remember that an establishment may be doing this to protect people who have cancer or other immunosuppressing diseases who are vulnerable and at risk to any disease. With many tourists comes a lot of diseases intermingling. There also may be infants, toddlers, or young children who tend to be in that establishment who they are protecting. A final note. I've now been hearing that some people are trying to get people to take off their masks. Please don't do that. It is up to everyone to decide whether or not they want to wear one. And don't ask people why they're wearing one or if they have a vaccine. You may not realize it, but it's rude, and you may not know what underlying health concerns a person has that you're just drudging up. Alright guys, now it's time for the mental health tips. And before I get started on this section, I want to stress that I am not in any way, shape, or form a medical professional. Anything I say is from my own experiences and observations. Please make sure to check in with your mental health professionals before heading out this summer. Number 7, crowd anxiety. If you are someone who struggles with being overwhelmed by crowds, and I know that in the wake of COVID, many of us have developed that fear and anxiety, make sure you research the place you are going to, including how to get around and where you can take a breather. Please be aware that crowding is happening, and that can be a lot to take in, even if you don't realize it. So make sure to come mentally prepared and have a plan to combat those issues. Number 8, nothing feels real. Don't be surprised if things feel surreal when traveling this summer. Honestly, when I walked into that gift shop and it was packed with people and everyone was just acting as if it was 2019 again and nothing had ever happened, it really felt like being in a different dimension. It is such a crazy mix of emotions. You may feel upset, fear, joy, relief, maybe even anger. After an entire year of fear, seclusion, and the unknown, it's only natural to have visceral reactions to going back to the way things were, and you may not know how to feel or process those emotions. Remind yourself that you are okay and this reaction is normal. Try and get away from the crowds either by yourself or with someone who makes you feel safe, and take a breather. Try some breathing or other calming exercises. Remember to have some healthy coping mechanisms in your arsenal. Now, while you're planning for your trip, would be a great time to make sure you learn some breathing and calming exercises, as well as think of some healthy coping mechanisms you can have in your back pocket when you do get out there. Trust me, when you are in the heat of the moment, the last thing you want is to not know what to do and go into full panic mode. So just take a little time to prepare and remind yourself of what your go-tos are in this kind of situation. Remember that we have all quite literally endured year-long collective trauma that is in some ways continuing. Cut yourself some slack and just breathe. In summary, this summer is all about planning. You need to have a plan and everything pre-booked. You also need to stay in tune with yourself and make sure you are taking care of your physical and mental health. If you enjoyed this, as I said before, please like and subscribe. It truly helps a lot. If you enjoyed my mental health travel tips, I would encourage you to check out my mental health journal series. I also do plenty of travel guides, tips, tricks, and vlogs for you to enjoy too. Well, I won't say goodbye because I'll see you in another one. Come on, you know you want to.